Hey, what's up? This is Joe with Joe and Tell, and today I'm going to be reviewing a ton of products from Mica. I'm outdoors, so sorry if you hear crickets or dogs. So new from Mica are their new amplifiers. So they have an amplifier called the Auragain A250. So the A250 is 50 watts times 2 at 4 ohms and 30 watts times 2 at 8 ohms. So I know that that's not a ton of watts, but keep in mind that this is at 0.5 total harmonic distortion, and some of the other manufacturers rated it at 10% total harmonic distortion, which is kind of high, more than you would probably prefer. So the A250 has an RCA input, it has 5-way binding posts, it comes with a nice 3.5 to RCA cable, and a huge power supply, which I'm going to mention later on. So as far as the build quality, I really like the way it feels. The volume is very smooth on it, and I can tell where the volume is without even looking because it has this little notch here. It also clicks when it turns on. This knob actually feels awesome, so it clicks to turn on, and it's stepless, so it's super smooth here. Compared to something like this, has like steps, so does this one here. So I like that. Very tactile and nice. The thing I like about these amps is they have a pre-out, which means that you can connect them to other amps or you can connect them to a powered subwoofer. Kind of handy, right? So as far as sound quality, I have no problems with it. Very clean, no hiss. As good sound quality wise and build quality wise as some of the SMSL and some of the other amplifiers that I've tested out in the past. Overall, I really like these Auragain. I like what they're doing with it. And so I hope they continue to improve this line. They also have the Auragain AD250. So yeah, this includes a DAC here. And that means that you can plug this directly into your computer. It comes with the same 3.5 to RCAs, and it also includes a USB connection. In addition, if you want to connect this to something like your TV, it has an optical SPDIF connection. To switch between the analog and the different digital connections, there are switches on the front, which I think are really cool. Very tactile again. I think that they have something special with this AD250. I really like it. Very cool. I think it's going to be something people are going to really like when they're using it at their computer. Especially if your computer's built-in DAC isn't very good. This is going to be an upgrade from that. Moving on, they have a new powered speaker called the ON3. Now this is a full range speaker and looks very nice. First thing my wife said is that she likes the way it looks. Very different, very sleek, and it looks like it fit in the decor of a house. It has a volume knob on the side, it has RCA inputs in the back, and a 3.5 millimeter input on the front. It also comes with a remote control, and they claim that it can go down to 50 hertz. Now that's a pretty crazy claim considering how small the speaker is. And depending on the modes, I wouldn't doubt that they are able to do that with some of the DSP trickery that they have. So there are two modes on here, one with that enhanced bass, that's mode 2, and another one where it's more of a flat response, and to me, it sounds a little bit clearer, and I prefer mode 1 to mode 2. Another thing I like on speakers is a magnetic grill, and this has those. Not only that, but it also has a magnetic remote, so that's kind of cool. Now you have no excuse for losing the remote. You can just place it right on the side of the speaker. I think these speakers are perfect when pairing it with something like an Echo Dot, so you can make these pair of speakers smart just by connecting an Echo Dot to it. Now these will also work well as computer speakers. Now the only thing I wish, and I mentioned this to Mica, is it looks like these are the same size driver as the concentric ones from the Kovo S, and so I'm kind of curious what it would sound like if we were to use the drivers from the Kovo S. Maybe something they can look forward to in the future in the ON3S. Next up is the PB42X. Now these are powered versions of the famous Mica MB42Xs that I love. The MB42X and the PB42Xs are the same in almost all aspects except for the PB42Xs are powered. Here's what they have in common. They both have a 4-inch carbon fiber woofer, a 3/4 inch silk dome tweeter, they're rear ported, and they have something called the Zobel network. And the Zobel network is a pretty advanced network, which is more advanced than what you'd find in many more expensive speakers. This also has a magnetic grill. Overall, I like the way that these speakers sound. They're not super bassy or anything like that, and you can't expect that from small speakers, but they sound good for music. They sound good for all different types of things. And if you're able to cross them over so that they don't produce all the super low bass response and have a sub take over in that aspect, you have really, really awesome speakers. I've connected them to my home theater and they sounded good there. I've connected them at my desk. They worked well there also. There's something special about these MB42Xs and PB42Xs. So the PB42X, it has an RCA input and a 3.5 millimeter input. It's 15 watts times 2, and the power brick that comes with it is kind of a tiny power brick. And if you read some of the comments on Amazon, a lot of people say that you're going to get better power and a better response if you use a bigger power brick. And so I tried one of the ones from the Auragains, and to me, when I did my test, it did sound a little bit better. You could turn it up a little bit louder, and when you did, it retained more of the bass, more of the clarity. So one quick tip, maybe try a better power supply. Now they have two more things. Mica came out with some subs. They came out with the MS10, a 10-inch woofer, and a MS12, a 12-inch subwoofer. Both of these are rated at 80 watts RMS and 120 watts peak, which doesn't sound like a ton, but trust me, it gets the job done, especially if you're not using it in a huge room, if you're using it at a desk or a small apartment. I think it'll do fine. You might be surprised. If those numbers turn you off, I would say give it a try first. They claim to have a very flat response. I did notice that. They sounded very musical, which I know is not a term that people like me to say, but basically I'm saying that it works well for music because it's very linear and it doesn't have that one note punchiness that some subs do. It uses a treated paper cone, which I like. People always say bad things about paper cones, but you know what? Say what you want, but they do have a nice sound to it. It has just different characteristics. So there's nothing wrong with paper cones. They're lighter, they're stiff. It's a good material to use for woofers, and they've been using them for a very long time. It has a RCA input as well as a high level line level input. So if you don't have RCAs out, you can actually output from the amplifier's high level input. It'll work on any system. It has a phase control, so you can flip it from 0 degrees to 180 degrees. There's also a volume, so you can make sure that the volume of the sub is not overpowering compared to your main speakers. And it also has a low frequency crossover, and you can adjust that using the dial. Both of them are front firing, which is good because the speaker moves back and forth. And I've noticed some of the downward firing ones kind of want to make the sub seem like it wants to like jump off the floor. So the port is facing downward, but the speakers are facing forward. On the 10-inch, they claim that it can go down to 36 hertz, and on the 12-inch, they claim down to 29 hertz. They both have a Velcro grill, which is kind of hard to take off, which is good because you don't want that grill coming off or rattling. It works. For me, I preferred the 10-inch model. It felt very musical actually, and I felt like that amp did a good job of powering the 10-inch. But I did notice that when I compared the two, the 12-inch version could hit lower frequencies easier than the 10. Overall, I am very satisfied with a lot of these products that Mic is coming out with. To me, they are the king budget audiophile. They come up with a lot of products that are great values at very low cost. I appreciate what they're doing. To me, that helps a lot of people get into audio. And so thank you, Micah. So for some recommended setups, if you're using a TV, you may want to try something like this. On Amazon, they have an optical to RCA converter that has a remote, which will allow you to turn up the volume up and down. From there, you can connect that to an Auragain A250, so it doesn't need to be the one with a DAC because the optical to RCA converter is going to do that. From there, you go from the Auragain to some unpowered MB42Xs. And because the Auragain has the pre-out, you can connect that to the MS-10 subwoofer or MS-12, depending on what you like. So that's going to be a great setup. I've tested that here and I let some friends hear it, and they were pretty impressed. Check it out.
You think you want to rewatch the movie again?
You think you can watch like that?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Hey, so what'd you think about this, honestly?
Speakers are pure sound. It doesn't sacrifice bass for clarity. It's all in one. Are you gonna sell all that for $300?
No, I'm not selling. That's how much they sell for.
Is all that sound just from the two up there?
All the sound is from those two, right? Those two, that little amplifier, and that sub down there.
$300 for all that?
Yeah.
Deal, man. Yeah.
Also, I should mention that I had Techno Dad come by and I had him listen to it, and I think he was pretty impressed with it as well. I'll let him comment below, see if you can find him down there, and he'll tell you what he thought of the setup. So that's for a TV setup. Now, if you want to set up something for the computer, I think it's even a simpler setup because you're not going to need a remote. So for a computer, what I would recommend is two different setups. One might be the Auragain AD250 because it's a DAC, and have that connected to some passive Mica MB42Xs. For sub output, I would connect that to something like the MS-10 using the pre-out in the back. So that's going to be awesome. You have your DAC, you have your amplifier, and you have your 2.1 channel setup. If you want to connect other sources, you can, and you can easily switch back and forth with the switches in the front. Pretty cool. Another way to go is to just use the line out from your laptop or desktop from 3.5 to RCA. Now, what you're going to want to do from the RCAs is to use a splitter. So two of the RCAs will go to what I would recommend, Mica PB42Xs, right? So it'll go into the back, and there you have your main speakers. The reason why you want a splitter is because the other two are going to go to a subwoofer. So for a desktop, something like the MS-10, that's going to be a crazy good setup. So anyway, that's it. Those are some of the offerings from Mica. Thank you, Mica, for sending out these products for me to review. If you have any questions about these products, go ahead and ask below, and I'm going to do my best to answer all of them. As I've said before, I have a podcast on my Patreon. I'll leave a link right here. But on the next podcast, I'm actually planning to do a collaboration with two other YouTubers, so stay tuned. I'm going to release that to everybody, so stay tuned. It's going to be something very good, very exciting topic. That's it. I hope you found the video useful. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, ring the bell. You know what to do. Anyway, take care. Good night. Bye-bye.